Hey, I'm Natalie Schubert, Quantum Healing Advanced Practitioner trained by legendary Dolores Cannon. And I was so blessed to be on Kim Sorrelle's show today. And we really navigated the love vibrations and understanding the world and uplifting humanity together. And tune in. It was a really good show.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. You are going to be so happy you are here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I'm an author, a speaker. I get to do a lot of fun things in life. My favorite thing to do is meet people. I got to meet the most extraordinary woman just a week ago. Could not wait for her to be on my show. You are absolutely going to love her. You are going to leave this show changed from where you sit right now. You are going to learn things and see things in different ways than you've ever seen them before. So before I take any more time, I just want to say, Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim. It's always so cool to see you again. We had such a good
Yeah,
time. We had such a good time together last week. That's right.
yeah, we did. We did. And so I couldn't wait to see you again. So here we are. I'm so glad that it worked out. Okay, so Natalie, I've gotten to know you a bit. I want everyone else to get to know you. So I would like to start with your story. I would like to hear about 8-year-old Natalie.
8-year-old Natalie. 8-year-old. I was British born. My dad was in the service. My mother's British, and so then they got married and had me over there. And so about 8 or 9 years old, we came to the States, and but I became the all-American tomboy girl, And dad was my hero, and we were on little baseball teams and softball teams together. And so I'm very much a tomboy. So I want to embody the femininity, but I'm very much in my tomboy essence in that space too. And so I'm not going to ever be the Barbie doll. You're just not going to see that. But I also wanted to. I was the firstborn. So you ever have that moment where you have this role that you don't realize you're taking on, and I wanted to do well. I wanted to have my parents' approval. I want to do the right thing, be a good girl and a good citizen, and have fun. But also there's a part of me that's a little rebellious because in the system they all try to make you the same. And I did not care for that because like it's A, B, C, D, E, or all the above. I'm like, but there's an F, G, and K. Did you see that? And they're like, don't care, don't care. And then if you ask about it, they're like, we don't know. And that means every system, it's every system you ask about the systems. They're like, it's just A, B, C, D, all the above. And I'm like, wow. And then you kind of get shamed for being different. So that was interesting because I remember coming home, Kim. This is an interesting thing. I remember coming home from sixth or seventh grade. So you're like 12 or 13, like right around puberty. And I walked in and I said to my mom, the weirdest, she didn't even have an answer for me. She's like, I don't know what to tell you about that, girl. I said, Mom, there is a war going on at school between my head and my heart. It's just, and I said, it's a really raging experience about what I know and feel and what I need to do to be in the world and do well. And I said, I don't know what to do about that. And she just looked at me like, yeah, I don't know what that even means.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sometimes when you're trying to understand how to be in the world. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the roof. I used to climb, we were on base housing, right? From one base to the next base. And I would sit on the roof and just go, well, why the heck are we here? Why are we doing this thing? And I'd watch everybody drive home. I'd watch all the men mostly come home after work and drive because I was on the roof. I'd watch them all pull in at 5:30 after work. And I'm like, really? That's we're just here to leave, come back, eat dinner, get ready, watch TV and get up and do the next thing again. I'm like, surely this is all there is. And Kim, you're going to love this. And this is why I thought about this recently because I was on the roof every day looking at the sun setting and wondering why we're here. And then I heard a voice that was not mine, and it said, love. And I went, ew, like, because I'm 13. I'm like, ew, what? Oh, I didn't understand. My little 13-year-old was like, oh, gross, not that love thing, because I didn't understand yet what that it really means and to encapsulate that from the divine realms. And I was like, love, oh, shut up. I was like, really? I got to be all, this is what's about love. I didn't want to ask any more questions for a while.
All right.
But your essence and your commitment to love and me understanding that the first thing I ever heard from spirit was love.
Wow.
I just kept
Wow.
asking.
I knew we were connected in more ways than one. So there you go.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah. It's a confusing time anyway for a kid, right? Middle
Right.
school, especially, but even high school, like growing up, it's like, who am I? Where do I fit? Where do I belong? What am I supposed to do? By the time you're 17, 18 years old, you're a senior in high school, you're supposed to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Everybody's
Yeah.
asking you all this pressure. And it's like, man, I feel like I'm still discovering what I'm supposed to do at my age.
It's true. Even in my first 2 years at college, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just, this is what you do. You do the thing. You go through the system. And my nephew is also in college, and he's just doing the thing that interests him, which is what, at least it interests him. College didn't really interest me. I was just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do. And I hated all the electives. I struggled. Oh my gosh, I struggled. It took me 5 years to get a 4-year degree.
Yeah, well, some people like to do a little extra overtime, I guess.
Oh gosh, it's like pulling teeth for me. I'm like, oh, come on now, But I spent all my high school years in Madrid, Spain, and I quickly lost my need to be the good girl, because our high school was in a barracks building. Even the name of it was all fallen off. There's only like 3 letters of the name.
Oh, jeez.
Our teachers, they had been there for 20 years, so they're like a little flask and go off into the corner. Like, wow. All your grades were put with a pencil, and I'm like, shut up, I'm gonna, yeah, I gotta let that, all the C, all of a sudden that C is a B, or that D is a B. I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter anymore. So I became into my more rebellious nature. Like, if I'm gonna have to go here, and I'm in Madrid, why am I in a barracks building when I could be downtown? So in all reality, I became the class skipper. I skipped school more than anybody, just to go walk around Madrid, because I knew
Oh,
that this was temporary. I'm never going to come be living here again. So that's what I
no
did.
kidding. Wow,
Mhm.
you probably got more education walking around in Madrid than you would have in the classroom.
I mean, talk about being in the present moment and just taking advantage of it. And the thing is, people started to hear, the kids started to hear what I was doing, and they'd be like, I want to go, and I'm like, look, I have a perimeter, and I didn't understand back then that I knew about energy. And I said, if you come with me to skip school, you have to be in the desire of being there. You can't be looking over your shoulder, somebody gonna catch us. I said, if you bring worry into my joyful day, you got to make it worth it. You got to make it like, if we get caught, rock on. That was so good. Yes, because why worry the whole day and then get caught? And they
Right.
were like, they were often like, I don't think I could do that. I said, you can't come then.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't come.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't bring it. Don't bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. So those days, how do you feel like they formed you, shaped you, and what's the residual
Oh,
from
they broke me out of when you get, like, a pandemic broke us out of our patterns. You're in this routine, this little thing, and then all of a sudden your dad leaves and goes overseas, and you're in a foreign country, and within a week that we were there, we don't even have a house yet. We're in a little apartment, and the local kids at school took us out, and they passed around weed in a car. And
oh,
I'm 14 and my sister's 12. And they're
oh,
asking, would you like some? And we're passing it around. And I'm my 12-year-old sister's like, no.
oh, jeez.
We're like, no, we're just like, Mom, you put us in with the weed heads. Come to find out later that the weed heads were the cool people.
Oh,
So, and it was a very quick growing up experience to be overseas in your early teens. And that gave me my playfulness, because I didn't take life so seriously anymore. I'm like, well, I'm in a barracks. I'm skip. This is ridiculous. Teachers are drinking alcohol while we're trying to learn. They're just penciling and whatever. I am not really going to play here. I'm going to go, and I'm going to go have some fun. And
yeah.
I don't want to diss any of the European teachers over there in the base housings, because there's a lot of good ones too. I'm just, of course, it's a better story when you focus on those guys.
Well, it's your personal experience, is what you know. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, yeah, what an interesting time that had to be. And then go to school because you feel like you have to. You graduate from high school, you got to go to college. It's
absolutely.
expected.
Yeah,
And I don't know. Then it can be awfully hard to know what it is you want to do and if you belong. And I have a granddaughter right now. I've got a few grandkids in college, and I've got a granddaughter who's a freshman this year and having the hardest time making a friend. And
mm,
it's so hard for her. And my heart breaks every day when I talk to her and she's like, not made a friend. I keep saying, Bea, there's probably a ton of girls that are in your very same boat that are sitting in their dorm room
absolutely.
wanting to be a
A
friend with
ton.
somebody,
it's
right?
it's an epidemic, I think, a little bit, because of the distance of the phones, and how we could use our phones to keep us safe, so we don't venture out, and we have so many we have so many Facebook friends. Do you know, I did a test one day, Kim. This is when I was on Facebook. I'm not on it, but when I was on Facebook, I took out my birthday because on my birthday I would get 1,000, maybe 150 happy
Right.
birthday. I took off my birthday. One person said on my birthday, I'm like, I don't have any real, I don't have any.
That's so funny.
Is that true? I was
Yeah.
like, man, it's just an illusion. These online friends, even though they're real, it's an illusion. They're not. They don't even know. You know what I mean? It's your big. So that was a really funny exercise for me, and it's a safe space for people to think that they're connected, and that can work for a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are very sensitive souls, and even online, they have to. I just had a client 2 days ago that was like, give me a cave all day long. And he can just he feels everything about them. He can read their field. He's like, he goes, it's not too many people that I can just have a conversation with because it's so busy. He goes,
Right.
I need it to be able to be like, there's not a lot of trauma, that kind of thing. And I think that's one reason why I used to play the serious game, right? I got the master's degree in aeronautical science. I did all the things you're supposed to do to be successful in the world or be valued. I was a captain in the Air Force during wartime, but none of that made me happy. In fact, it took away my joy. It took everything that I did to achieve the system. Check, check, check. The more I did, the more and that's rewarded for you to do that. It's like if somebody said, hey, you want to go to France and stay in my chalet for 3 months because I'm your roommate in college, and you're like, oh, I can't because I got to finish in order to graduate. I got to take these extra credits, and you tend to you do everything you're supposed to do to be perceived well, and everybody honors you. You're so focused. You're going to do so good, and you lose your joy and because you're doing the system and that everybody they don't realize they're agreeing with instead of following your inspiration, your passion. Because when we leave this planet, when we go, what do we take with us? The experiences.
Right.
I
Right.
realized that when I was skipping school, I'm like, when I go home, I'm going to have all these experiences instead of I had the degree and I got and I had my nose down and I did right.
Right.
That's so empty, and it feels empty when when you get to that goal that you think you want, and you get there. You're like, I kind of thought it was gonna. It kind of felt like it was gonna be different, like da, 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 da.
Yeah. 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 Kind of like well, I'll be happy when.
Yeah, very much. And that's so popular. I'll let myself be happy when I get that degree. I'll go on vacation when I get that. And then something happens and your car breaks down. And you got to do that. Or you have a kid and you postpone happiness. And you know what's interesting, Kim? You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy life.
Mm, wow. That's pretty profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yes.
I just spoke with two men that wrote a book on
Right. Good.
being happy. Yeah, oh, it's fantastic. And one of the things they pointed out is that happiness is a choice, and that happiness isn't a fleeting thing, but happy is something you can live in. Like you can choose to be happy because you can be happy and be disappointed about something. You can be happy and be going through a really hard time, but it doesn't have to steal your happy. Which
Doesn't that probably stir the pot on a lot of people? They're like, excuse me, no,
yes.
you don't know my problems, you know my stuff. And I am a natural, I mean, my friends used to call me sunshine, so I have a propensity for that anyway. But I have had some days, I mean, not days, I've had some times where I couldn't find happy, and I might not, I mean, it felt dishonor, like that's what it feels like. It feels dishonoring. But I realized really quickly, no, not okay, that's a lie. It was really quickly. It's when I look back, it feels quick. It was really
Right, right.
quickly that that I was dimming my light in front of like the shadow of myself. I was dimming my light when I would bounce against some darkness, because I was thinking it was, that whole thing, like, hey, somebody's in pain or be honoring. And I just mirrored, like we're kind of taught to be reverent and mirror that a little, kind of taught to do that. And I felt like I was doing the right thing, even though I know better, but it did feel like such a contrast. I could not be, but that's exactly what the situation needed, was my joy, was my perspective, and I wasn't strong enough to be in that space. And so now I kind of own it more than ever before, that, oh my God, I'm not helping anybody. Somebody's in the ditch and you go down and sit with them in the ditch. You think like, hey man, I'm with you. Let's go. They're in the ditch. Now you got two people in the ditch, and you feel the heaviness and the weight, and now you've lost your light and you need somebody, you need like help. Sometimes you have to leave the situation to go regain and infuse your light back, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So true. So true. I've always been optimistic, and I've always chosen to be happy. Like, I want to be happy. I don't want to live in sadness. I don't want to live in doom and gloom. So there's things I ignore. Like I don't sit around
Mm,
and watch the news, because
right.
that could take me out of happy if I
Yeah.
wanted to let it take me out of happy. There's certain things that you're
There's a
gonna.
different word that you could choose from that, because when you said ignore, I almost felt like you felt sadness and you ignored it. But no, you're actually choosing not to expose yourself to a negative vibration of the news. That's a little different, isn't it? It's like you're not ignoring it. You're steering the ship.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I'm so glad you said that, because that's so
Yeah.
true. That is so true.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there are things that you get to choose, right? Like what you're going to watch on TV, what you're going to consume, what you're going to take in, what you're going to read or not read, whatever. You get to pick. There's so many things we get to pick. We get to choose. And I think so often people feel like life happens to them.
Oh, so much. And because it feels like that. You're like, I would not have done this to myself.
Yeah,
You're
right.
like, no, and I'm gonna have, and people are like, the people that my clients are like, I'm gonna have a talk with my higher self. You are fired. It's like it's that way. And just as people may not know, I'm a quantum healing hypnotist for 15 years, trained by Dolores Cannon. So I get to witness people working with their subconscious, and we get to have those conversations every day. So that's something that I get to be inspired by. I do want to point out, since we're talking about happy and we're talking about emotions, I think it's really important that we make sure that that Kim and I aren't saying that you judge the emotions, that bad dog for being in the lower in self-doubt, or because they're just to give us information. If we can look at every emotion on the spectrum, and they're oh, look at me, I'm in worry today, check me out, I'm not, look at me, I better check myself, I'm in worry. It's to give us feedback. Oh, look at me, I'm in total I feel depressed today. Look, that just knocked the wind out of me when I felt judgment about that guy who cut me off in traffic. It's information so we can navigate things, because if we actually judge the emotion as well, now we're double whamming. We feel depressed and we're mad at ourselves that we're depressed, that we can't, right? So
It makes us very depressed that we're depressed. Yes.
yeah. So like, don't judge yourself. Let yourself off the hook. There's no bad emotions and good emotions. They all give us information about where we are so we can steer the dial. I think everything under neutral feels like AM radio. It's like one speaker. It's kind of annoying. Everybody wants to get out of that. You want to get the FM stereo stations. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true, so true. So yeah, so feel the feels, as they say, right? Like
Yeah.
let the emotions happen
Yeah.
that are coming up, and then figure out why. Why are they coming up? How are they serving you? What
Bingo.
you need to learn from them?
The first thing that people think if you're happy is that you are Pollyanna, la 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 la, and I'm not to say that I haven't been Pollyanna in my life. I have been that. But I'm mature now, and I hope to think that I'm not. But I'm sure to some people, they could still look at me and feel that way, because I have a natural buoyancy within me. But I chose that, because I played the serious game that everybody wanted me to. Like, that feels like crap. I'm not playing that anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah. Well,
anywhere.
it's
Yeah.
so funny. My husband was a pessimist,
Oh,
and I've always been very optimistic, but he would say that he was a realist and that I
yes.
lived in La La Land.
That's
And I was
exactly what I've
like,
heard too. I'm a
really?
realist.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a realist. I'm like, well, and he tells me I live in La La Land, and I'm like, well, I like it here. This is a good place. I like La La Land if this is what this is. But it's not really La La Land. It's how I choose to see the world. It's how you choose to see the world, and how you choose to, I think, so much of it, we've talked about some of this, is that kind of losing touch with humanity. And with the phone in front of us, like you talked
Yeah.
about, like with
Yeah.
my granddaughter in college and trying to meet people, and with social media, with all the stuff that you could be looking at every day, and be disconnected from humanity, and more disconnected. And then the pandemic obviously did nothing to help that.
It
And
magnified who we are, is what I think.
yeah,
Whoever you were, it just magnified that. If you had some fear in you, you were like, woo. If you had some self-doubt in you, you were like, if you were desiring freedom, it kind of was like, it's like,
right, right,
I
right.
can play that out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But the whole um devaluing, I guess, of humanity that also seems to happen. It's like, man, people are our greatest asset. People are our there's nothing like a friendship.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a relationship with a human being. I've got a dog. I love my dog. I
Yeah.
adore my dog. My dog loves me unconditionally.
They're like your kids. Yeah.
Yeah, they are, but it's not my kid.
Yeah.
Right? I
Right.
mean, there's something different when it's human to human. And there's something special about that relationship that you can't get from an AI person online. You can't get it anywhere else. It's about humanity. And but how do you see it? Like, are we losing touch with humanity, or are there things that we need to be saying to each other? Are there things we need to be doing so that we don't lose
That is
touch
the
with?
golden question now, isn't it? Because it's almost like, have you heard about this WWF internet coming? What is this domain stuff? It's like I saw my first billboard. It said W. Who's going to do that? This is like this. It's like we're reliving that moment again, where this is those quantum leaps that humanity has. And the first one was when WWW showed up on a billboard, and started having that. And now this is the second one, AI. And I am very neutral about that. I can see both sides, and I, of course, like you, I choose to magnify and play with because it can be used for good. Everything almost can be used for good. I could use a knife to cut my food or to hurt somebody, right? I mean, come on.
Right?
So everything can be used for good or bad as far as I'm concerned. And everybody's right. Isn't that cool? It's like I don't have to make you wrong for me to be right. I don't have to fight for my perception. You're like, hey, yeah, you're right too. You're right. And where do you want to live? Where do you want to live in a bandwidth in a reality where you're in fear? Because that's true. It's true. You can focus and make that a reality where you're in fear about it, or you can choose, because we don't think about the field. You can choose a bandwidth that you can experience life on that is going to make you right in this bandwidth, because we're a creator of the universe, of God's and divine. And so we get to choose how we want to experience the world, because the universe always makes us right. And
Mhm.
it's what I love about AI right now. This is my play toy, is going to suno.com, suno.com, and making my own songs with all my own passwords. I don't even listen to regular music anymore. I got my coffee shop playlist, and I got my high vibe dance music, and I put it out on YouTube a little, and people are just like, can you have more of that? Who is that? And I'm like, yeah, I just made that. Yeah. It sounds like a real radio song that has all your favorite passwords that are specific to you, including, your everything. So that's
I
why I
love
love
that.
playing with AI in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
dream analysis, another good one. Dream analysis.
dream
ChatGPT is
analysis.
great for dream analysis. It's got the symbols.
Oh,
So you ever wake up and you go, "What the heck was that?" And you put in ChatGPT, and it goes, "You might be experiencing this," and you're like, "Shut up! What the heck? Get out of my head."
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's so funny, and I agree. There's so much good that will and is coming out of AI, and
Mhm.
it just depends on what you do with it, what you choose to do with it, and I don't know. It is what it is. Meanwhile, we're talking to the one and only Natalie, who is one of a handful of people that does what you do. So I would love for you to talk more about what it is you do.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate by accident to have been trained by this legend, Dolores Cannon, who created, after 50 years, this technique called quantum healing hypnosis technique that allows people to relax and go into it's a 5-hour session, to go into the very deepest part of their subconscious, to reveal insights and patterns, totally drug free, y'all. In case drug free, and you're gonna journey and understand about yourself. Now, we call them past lives, but it doesn't really matter. Like last night, my client was Catholic. She doesn't believe in past lives, and it still works, because it doesn't matter. There are stories or metaphors to help you understand yourself. Who's attached to that? This is just you having a conversation with you, so you can understand how to unlock the next level of you. What are your resistances that you're putting out? And it's funny, because people's questions that they bring to understand more of themselves, that we want to ask their subconscious, in it, I'm like, these are all symptoms of a deeper core belief. All these are, why do I act like that? I go, well, but they keep asking. I go, you have one core belief that is creating all those different experiences in your life. I said, we're not going to ask about that. We're going to go to the core. Like, how did that belief get in there? And what does she need to do to see it in a way, and just kind of have like a neuroplasticity where it opens, like a lotus flower opens in your brain. And I direct traffic. I'm like, okay, any old energy that no longer serves it for their highest good, let's go out and just leave. And then we bring in a little bit more light for them to feel relaxed. And everybody always, it's fun for me. Everybody comes in kind of nervous. What is this going to be? And they always leave kind of like, yeah, man, cool.
Like they were the 14-year-old passing the weed in the car.
Yeah. That's right. They're kind of like, I had one really interesting experience a few weeks ago, really profound to witness. A Southern Baptist minister came to me and he goes, I don't know what you do, but I want you to do me like you did my wife. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, she's been gluten-free her whole life and you cured her. I go, yeah, well, just so you know, it wasn't me. I didn't do that. I'm holding space between you and you. Okay. So he goes, well, do me. And I go, well, what do you want? I feel like Santa Claus, spirit Santa Claus or something. Right. And he was a beautiful man. He had beautiful silver hair and a beard, but he had lots of like real tons of wrinkles on him. And and he said, I think I might have done some bad stuff. I go, what's going on? He goes, I kind of bought into the hellfire and brimstone. Everybody's bad, and you better prove your worthiness. And like God's a drunken father, and I really owned it. And I think I hurt people, and I think I got bad karma. And he goes, I want to know what's going on. And I know that God's a loving God. There's no such thing as I witness it every day long, all day long. So of course I don't say anything, but I let him have his session. And as soon as he has his session, he's laying there, and he's like, all of a sudden he's like this, just rocking. He goes, is this normal? I'm like, man, everybody's different. I'm like, yeah, sure, it's normal. and for 2 hours, he was just like, he goes, it's kind of weird to have these little experiences in these lifetimes, but I'm just still, for 2 hours, he was rocked like that. And when he finished his session, he goes, I can't barely walk. And then I went, dude, you got to look in the mirror. His face was a baby's butt. Every wrinkle was gone. He goes, I don't even look like the same guy. I go, you aren't the same guy. It's like all that tension and that hatred had worn itself on his face. And that he was by his guide angels, whatever it is, he was gently rocked. All that negativity and hate was left him. And I think he floated all the way out the door. Bless his wife could be like, say what? Look what I got a package. Because he was already a beautiful man. So I never know what's going to happen for these people. It's between them and them. I'm just a space holder, like hold the flashlight in that way.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, you told me some stories when we were together that were just astounding. Like the little boy who just struggled. I mean, if you share that was so, I'll never forget.
Yeah, he was like right pre-puberty, like maybe 12, 13 years old, and coming into his own like aggression and things. But he lived in the country north of Georgia, and there was not this very north, like there was not a lot of people to help you, not a big city of assets. And their parents were finding that he was having difficulty because his grandmother and his dog died at the same time. And he didn't understand that he loved his grandma and he loved his dog. His parents, he could take or leave because he was always in trouble, I think, So the fact that the good ones are gone and he's got left with these that are kind of scolding him for acting out, he's like, he had a fracture. He became fractured. He had a fractured mind and created a partner, like an invisible partner. He says, I have this fighter, this warrior element that protects me. And I can't control it. He says, sometimes he'll come out through him, where he acts badly. So every time he acts badly, he's like, it's not me. It's that when my friend comes in and takes over and protects me. And so when he showed up for a session and his parents sat outside, because you can't, they're not going to be themselves if everybody's around. And his parents are in the car and he goes, you seem like a nice lady, but just so you know, whatever his name was might just come out and I can't, And I said, well, here, I'll make you a deal. If you let your friend come out and play here, then I'm not working with you anymore. So you might as well just go home. Because I'm just here for you. And that made him feel a little safe. He's like, oh, okay. So I was like, so as soon as that friend comes out, then we're done. How's that? So that way he was steering it. He could control if he wanted to stay or go, instead of me saying, sit down, this is a 5-hour session, that kind of thing. And we didn't sit at the table like I do the adults at first. We sat, I have a sandbox that, of course I do. I have a little design thing. And that so he was playing with that. And then there was a hummingbird outside on my deck. And he was like, can we go outside? Cause he's a kid. He's like, he wants, can we? I said, yeah, we go out on the deck. And just as we go out, a hummingbird goes right up near him and gets the water. He was like, his lip quivered. He was like, because it was right near him. And he was like, oh my God. He was just so thrilled by this to something like that he said, can I run out and tell my parents? I said, okay. He ran all the way outside down, he went to find his car. And he was like, I was like, okay, hope he comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And long story short, he came back. He was very receptive now, right? He's very happy. He's having a good time. And I did the session and he's laying there and he goes, Grandma. His grandmother showed up from beyond. He goes, can you see her? And I'm like, yeah, I don't see her, dude. I don't see her. And he's like, no, she's right there. I go, no. And then all of a sudden, grandma showed that she brought the dog. And he was like, oh my God, she brought my dog. And he could levitate it. He's so happy right now. And then he was repeating what grandma was saying to him, that the grandmother was there for him. They were fine. They're fine. And it's going to all be good. And they're going to meet again. And he was comforted big time by that. And then he saw, instead of just in his mind's eye, he actually saw the aspect of him that he had fractured, that was the protector. And he was like, oh, he was like in a warrior outfit, almost like a knight in shining armor, standing next to a tree in all this armor. And he was like, oh my God, I love you, man. He's like, I love you, man. And I was just watching this going, oh, wow, this is like an integration. This is a meeting of the part of him that's separated. And I'm like, yeah, it's just him and him. I'm like, okay, trusting and witnessing the process. And he goes and sits next to him. And he tells the guy, the one that's the knight, that he loves him and he's his best friend and everything. And then he says, he's taking off his helmet and he's crying. And I'm like, what? He said, nobody's ever seen him. Nobody's ever told him that he's loved and that he's okay and that he's always the bad guy, And I'm like,
no kidding. No kidding.
And he goes, I love you too, man. He's hugging himself and he's saying how much he loves it and how, and I'm just like, shut up. And I mean, this all happens within about 2 hours. Okay. So I'm really condensing it. But then the parents finally came in and he's like, Mom, Dad, he like hugs them and then he's crying in a good way. And they're looking at me like, what's going on? And he goes, and he's actually loving on them, because remember before he's like, get out of here. He was kind of not, he was all loving on them and his heart was open again. And they said, can we call you if we need you again? I said, absolutely. Never heard from him again.
That's awesome. Wow.
That was a soul that was very lost and was going off into I don't know, a whole isolated experience on planet Earth as for maybe the rest of his life. And the fact that we can meet people and hold space for them to receive a connection, and that we don't have to, that's what I love. We don't have to do it all. We just have to be and hold space, right? It's like we don't have to generate and strive so hard and try so hard or everything. We just be ourselves, hold an authentic, loving space, be in our heart. And I've learned that's much more powerful than a whole lot of doing sometimes.
Wow. That's so cool. That is so cool. I love what you do because people find healing. Their lives are never the same, I'm sure, once they leave your place, leave your sandbox.
It's kind of unfortunate for me, the practitioner. I don't get to see the end results. I don't get to. I just like, people are like, I feel like I'm going to be on their Christmas card list when they leave, because they're so like, But I went out to a concert, or like a meeting downtown Atlanta, and I ran into this beautiful woman in this fancy, very tall and completely executive decked out, and she threw her arms open to me and she went, Natalie, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. I think it must be a client, because I never see him again. And I've been doing this for 15 years. I got nothing. She'd even look familiar. And she's like, I did it. I'm my CEO of my own company now. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You gave me the comp. I'm like, okay, all righty. I'm like, I got nothing. Yeah, I don't even know what her experience was or how, but that's what I'm talking about. I don't get to see the little where they can take it. And it's not me that's doing it. It's they show up, they make a decision. They'd make a decision of who they're going to be. They get supported in that, and then they go out and become their best self to the next level.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so amazing. So I think what I've seen, my experience has been that more and more lately, people are coming to grips with there's something well beyond us. There's something so much more than we see, so much more that we know, so much more to the spiritual realm, so much more going on that behind the scenes that we're just kind of oblivious to as we go through our day to day. But people are becoming more and more aware. I feel like people are, from my experience, that's what I've seen. And
Absolutely.
and I think, my word, it's so good because there's so many things that we've ignored. Like I think, intuition, they talk about women's intuition. I'm sure men also have intuition, but
Yeah.
it can be pushed down,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
when you're young, you might recognize it or you might see it more, but little by little you let it slide and you forget that you even have something called intuition. You don't listen to your gut. You don't take a minute to think, okay, well, what is really going on? And how do you see that playing out?
So I like the way you ended that right there. You said, you listen, how do you listen? You can't be doing while you're listening.
Mhm.
So my biggest revelation to get answers when because we usually want answers when we're in pain. When we're just comfortable, like we're good, but all of a sudden we have answers. We need answers because we're in pain. We want to do, we want to try, we want to do. We're like, I got to get out of pain, and your brain goes, oh, we got to research, we got to figure it out because we're in pain and we want out. And it's the
Mhm.
exact opposite thing to do because you're in the frequency of the problem right down here on AM radio. And guess what? Really bad solutions live on this frequency because it's not the frequency of a solution. And so so all these bad solutions come, you're like, that's not a good one. I keep going. And you think that there's a value because you're taking it seriously and you're going after it. No, the thing that you need to do is listen. The thing is you need to stop and everything in your brain goes, stop, we got a problem. You got to talk to your brain and go, hey, no, we're going to look at that problem, but we got to stop right now and gain. We got to gain, bring it all in. We got to get to neutral. That's it. You don't have to get happy. You can't get happy when you're in pain, really. It's really much a stretch, and it's not, I would suggest it, but just look for relief and just stop and just ask yourself, like, I love the analogy where you could just literally lay back in your car seat.
Yeah.
Stay in your car an extra 5 minutes before you get out and just go, that's that relief feeling right before you go into the world or into your house or into work. You're just like, I'm just going to take a minute to myself and just get some relief. That's the important thing because when you can collect yourself, then you can hear and you can get the insight or the aha moment. Maybe not right at first, but stay in that space. Have relief again. Practice that because you're resetting your nervous system too. Our nervous system is running our lives and we don't even know it.
Mm,
You know, we're
sure.
we're feeling things and because that brain when we have a problem that is rushing to it's our nervous system in stress, so it tells the brain, periscope up. What do we need to do? And you're like, you got to be like, you got to command that mind body situation, and you got to go, okay, you got to talk to your mind though. You can't just, you got to talk to it and say, hey, I see that we're at a problem, but right now we just got triggered and we're not in the receptive space for a really good answer. So tomorrow, let's visit this tomorrow. Let's just right now, just let's relax so that we can do that. And literally, that's how you live a magical life. That's how you live a magical life by, that way you don't have to control the outside world. Let it be itself. And then when you get hit with something or a problem, because that's what we're on the world, then stop and figure out, just let yourself be okay until you can come up to the top of the pool line because relief will meet you at the bottom of the deep end and just allow you just to float right there at the top of the pool line. I literally did that when I was having some stress this last year. I would literally go to the pool and I would just float. And I
Yeah.
felt so much relief just looking at the sky that all of a sudden my problems felt really what is it, minuscule when I'm
Yes.
looking at that expansive sky. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. When you realize that there's so much more. And
Yeah.
then, it can be so easy too on the other end to go, I was worried because of what?
Mhm.
Or why did I let that stress me out? But our problems can seem so big in the moment, so
That's
grand.
the nervous system. Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Oh yeah,
so
it feels like there's two kinds of people. There's either the fight or flight, or there's the freeze. I'm the freeze. Just so you know, I'm like, like where's my words? I lost my words. I can't find my words. And it's like it's actually like a personality. Like they're either one of those two. People are either they're really, really fast and really aggressive, or they're really they're quick-witted, or they're just like me. I I feel really stupid around those people because I lost my words now because I'm all stressed out. Lost my
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you leave and you drive off, you go, oh, I could have said this, I could have said that. Because you're no longer free. Freeze is unlocked.
Right, right, right.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So it's unlocking
yeah,
that can
yeah. So you
be the thing.
just
Yeah.
stop. So if you control that, know that that's a nervous system thing. That's not the way to. That's being reactive, isn't it? We have a situation, and then we're like, oh, and then that's being reactive. That's not being a creator. That's not.
Mm.
That's not because when you sit still and you just listen, you're also you're also being a magnetizer and attractor. That means that you don't always have to go out, even after you figure out what to do, you don't always have to go do it. You can actually allow that experience to come to you. And I know that sounds a little bit like airy fairy. I get because I know I thought that was airy fairy. Like, how is I work at home and I live at home. How's it going to come to me? I'm at my house. But don't you know it does? It absolutely does.
Mm.
That's how we met.
Yeah, exactly. That is how we met.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's so true. And I think so often you can get wrapped up in the busy,
Oh yeah, that's true
right?
too. Yeah.
And so your
Busy
mind,
has value. I'm contributing.
yeah, yeah. Well, there are people that value busy,
Mhm.
right?
Oh
Like I
yeah.
think for years, busy has been valued. Like my dad, who was one of the greatest businessmen of our time, one of the greatest businessmen I've ever known. I learned so much from that man, but it was a 1960s style of business.
Yes.
It was you're the first one in the office, you're the last one to leave, you take work home, you
Yeah.
work extra, work is
Yes.
never done. There's always
Never
more
done.
to do. You work to work to work to work. And there was value. That's kind of where he found his value was
Yeah.
that he was a hard worker, that he would do whatever it took to get the job done. And not that that's a bad trait, of course, be a hard worker, but not you don't have to be a hard worker 24 hours a day.
No, no, no. And
Yeah.
when you love what you do, then it kind of feels like it just never you never go to
Right,
work and because
right,
as an
right.
entrepreneur, you're gonna kind of feel like that anyway. You might as well enjoy what you do, right? You might as well.
Exactly. 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 And then it really isn't work. But I think there's still a balance though, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
find,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But again, there's I don't have borders. I can sense that I don't have borders, and I don't. Maybe it's maybe I could do better. I mean, but it feels um like when I like here's an example. If we wait for the world to be nice to us before we can be feel good backwards, oh my gosh, you're gonna maybe wait a long time. That's what a lot of people do. They're like, well, when they behave better, I'll feel better. So people try to change the people around them
Hmm.
so that they feel better. That's control. And that's a losing game because people will fake it if they need to for a minute to feel safe. And then they go right back to being themselves. So you can create a situation where you create an environment that where you have your place that's private, or I created this really cool thing that I love this so much. I created this, imagine myself in the future of my best life, and I'm coming home from that day and I'm telling the story about my day, and I'm so relaxed and I'm so jazzed, and I put it into a voice recorder, and then of course I put a little instrumental music underneath it. And so for the past 2 months I've been going to bed at night listening to this beautiful story of my future self coming home from the day, and I talk about where I live and how I'm going outside, and I talk about where I've been and what's happened in the last week, and it's all pretend land, but it's exactly how I want to see myself when I want to live. And that is such a delightful little lullaby when you lay in there and you're literally in that, you're in a conducive state when you're going to sleep, right? You're more receptive. So if you want to really reset the bar and move into a place where you can more easily go into that space where whether what you're looking for is health or love or connection or freedom, paint the picture and make it real. I mean, really, don't be like, and then I would do this. No, then I did this and I went, your real time present moment. Yeah, that's been a really fun thing. So I'm setting the tone in my space for that time. I'm always like you, like you're choosing happy, and I'm like, I'm choosing wonderment, like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What a great idea. What a great thing to fall asleep to instead of, I don't know, sometimes I fall asleep to 2020. And so this would be way better to fall asleep to, I think. And but yes, and dream big. I think that when
Yeah,
we're kids, it can be easy to dream,
yeah,
because we don't see the limits that we see, that we place on ourselves, that we place in the world, that we place on others when we're adults.
yeah,
And but to realize that those are limits we put on.
Yeah. You
We
want it to, you want it to be a big enough dream where it feels like, shut up, that would be amazing, but not too big a dream that you're like, that's not ever going to happen. You don't want it to make you feel bad. It's too far away. You want
Yeah.
to make it feel like that would be the coolest thing if that could ever happen. Wow. And that you could kind of see that it's possible. But if you put it too ridiculous, then it's annoying. It's
Right,
annoying
right, right.
because you're like, that's no way is that going to happen, that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about being in retreats and being with cool people and all that. And I'm going to one this weekend and I'm going to open up the retreat and I'm going to be the only guest. And I'm like, shut up. I can't. And I'm doing exactly what I did for 2 months. Every night, go to bed, and I'm going to go there tomorrow and open up a retreat just by myself
Wow.
from two clients
Wow.
that just opened it up and want me to bless it.
Wow. I love that. I love
Crazy.
that. Yeah. 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 So it's
It
like
works.
those are the dreams. Yeah. Those are the dreams. Those are the
Yeah.
things that you want to have happen. So it's like, yeah, see yourself in a villa in the south of France or opening a retreat that is put on by friends, but probably seeing yourself as the Queen of England, that might not
Yeah.
be a realistic thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But what a beautiful thing. Because we really do create our own reality, right?
Yes. Yes, we do. And we can literally create it sitting right next to each other. You know, I mean, I always use the example with my clients. If you imagine like a little car accident in a grocery parking lot where everybody's slow, but there was a car accident, and the people in the car was a really old person and a teenage boy, like 16-year-old boy. And and the four people on the four corners when they interview, they say, what did you see? The guy's like, the old lady, I don't think she can see worth anything, man. She's the fault, right? And the other ones are like, that teenage boy, he had no business driving. That we take our beliefs and our perspectives with us and we don't realize it. We just see the world as we are, not as it really is. And in all reality, it might have just been both of them, but they can get, you can get all different versions and everybody's right. Nobody's wrong. So it's like, so I'm always a little bit leery when people go, I'm looking for the truth. And I'm like, which bandwidth of truth are you looking for?
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you could kind of make you could kind of make your because the guy looking at the old lady, it was true to him, and the
Yeah.
guy looking at the teen, that was true to them. So what's the truth? There is no, that's that same, making everybody the same again. That's probably going to be a little bit of a little bit of a conversation, but it's one of those things. I don't believe that there's one truth. There are certain truths like laws, like gravity or something like that. But I'm talking about like if we're unlimited, which we are, then what have we not understood about the capacity of ourselves and how we can tune into into the possibilities? So, woo, mystery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and how exciting is that?
Yeah,
Right?
it's like being a kid again. It's like kid
Yes.
again. Anything's possible. Shut up.
Right.
I think that's why they call it an awakening. When you kind of come back to this place where you play the game, you're a kid and you can't wait to grow up, and then you grow up and you go, this sucks. I gotta pay bills. I only get 2 weeks of vacation if I'm lucky. And I gotta go
Right.
back to the grind again for the next 50 weeks. Wow, this is messed up. Who made this rule?
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. Who did this? Yeah. Yeah. So awakening. Yeah. I think
Like you
that's so
become a kid
true.
again.
Yeah. 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 And it's biblical even. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
to be as little children, be as little children, and that wonderment, that innocence, that faith, that believing that anything is possible.
Yes.
And instead of getting beat down and staying there, we all get beat down at times. We can all feel defeated at times, but you don't have to stay there.
Do you know what beats us down to is, but I don't know how.
Mm,
That's what beats us down. Tell me how. I don't know how. I don't know how. And that's setting yourself up for failure, because how is the third dimensional mind having to know what to do until it takes the next step. It's like, tell me what to do. And now it's like going to the mirror and go, when you smile, I'll smile. Come on,
mm,
I'm still waiting for the mirror to smile so I know what to do. No, you gotta just act on your next inspiration. If you don't know the map. In fact, being honest, if we knew the map, if we were given the map, we would take the shortest direct route. If we were here, we'd go right there. And that's not the point. The point is to go over here and get a new friend, go over here and get a new skill, go over here and have these experiences. So when you arrive there, you're a nurtured, seasoned, perfect life right there. Because we would take this immature, desired, lack mentality and go right into our dream, and we wouldn't be able to hold it, and we'd lose it.
Mm.
That's why we need to not ask how, and we need to trust the breadcrumbs that light up for us and feel, do I want to do that or not want to do that? I kind of want to do that. But what if that's not it? No, follow your inspirations. It'll be it. Trust me. It'll light the
Yeah.
breadcrumbs. Stop, drop
Yeah.
the how, drop the how.
Oh, I like that. Drop the how. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is so profound that it takes it's worth it to take a minute to really talk about that and unpackage it a little bit, because the how is what it is. I mean, it's what we've been taught is you got to know the how before you can do the do.
That's
So
a very flat line life, isn't it? It's a very
yeah,
predictable pattern, makes us feel safe. That's overrated, just so you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. And it should be true, or not should be. It's true of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. I have a friend who wonders, why can I just take these ingredients
Mm-hmm.
and make a delicious dish? Like these herbs and these other things, and you just kind of throw it together, and man, it can be something really good. How do you do that? Or how? Back to the how. And it's like, well, no, just do. You just do. You do. Does it taste good together? Does it
Yeah,
work together? Does it feel right? Does it
right.
taste right? Does it smell right? You just do. And there's so
I
much power in the just doing.
I actually am teaching, like I'm starting a master class to help people feel safe in not asking how, because they still feel like, oh yeah, now I'm just floating the abyss and I'm so not doing that. I'm like, so
Yeah.
it's like, hey, if we all float together and I kind of have parameters and I teach you to feel safe there, you want to play? And they're like, well, I could think maybe I could lean into that. So it's like coming to the deep end of the pool. Wait, we start over here together. We'll come wade in with us. So I think that it's time to help people feel safe trusting them instead of listening to the outside external voices that their elders, their principal, even their inner critical voices telling them from, it's not usually their best friend, honestly, that
Right.
critical voice. And time for us to be our own best friend and just shift into understanding how to be in the world and steer it without having to control the outside. Because even me, I was even, had some work to do in that too, that I thought I was fine, but then I was like, okay, I'm still walking and pleasing, and I had leftover people pleaser tendencies. I'm still not doing my best self because I was bending, and until I bent so far I was all curled up, so
Yeah. 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 Which is another good point. It's like I don't know. I don't know if it's more of a woman thing than a man thing, because I'm a
yeah.
woman, so I only know from a woman's perspective, but I kind of feel like it is. Like we're the nurturer, we're the ones that are supposed to be taking care of everything. We're supposed to make sure everybody else is happy before we make sure we're happy.
It's our
And
identity. Hey,
yeah,
I'm a healer helper. I'm a good person. I'm a good friend. And so I'm going to do these things because that's, I want, they're in pain and I want to help somebody and I want to do the right thing. But if, when it hurts you, or when and they're not hurting you, you're hurting you by, whatever you're doing. They're not doing it to you. This is something that you're show over and over again. And so you always have to check in when it starts to feel unhealthy for you. Then you have to be, you have to take charge. You can't blame your situation. You can't, and don't even blame yourself too often. This is how we figure things out. We're figuring it out. It's all figure outable.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
no bad guys. Okay. Isn't that nice? There's no bad guys.
Right.
And that's in these times, in these political times, are like, I can tell you some bad guys. I'm like, you know what? They're not even the political parties are bad guys. They're just catalysts for our growth. Can we look at it that way? What if everything that is challenging us is just a catalyst for our growth? Fun. Let the party begin.
That is so good. That's so good. And I think it can be easy to figure out when maybe you're going down the wrong way without
Yeah.
even knowing, right? So
If you
like,
get still and you stop, then without running, then you'll
yes,
notice, okay, yeah, but if you're still running, you're like, I'm not doing it, it's still not working, still, I gotta try this now and try that. That's what I was doing.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I was busy, busy, busy.
yeah, yeah. Or if you find
Yes.
yourself complaining
Yeah.
about whatever it is you're complaining about, Like, you have somebody you've been helping because they're going through a tough time. So you're helping them. And then you say, man, they don't even thank me. Or man, they don't even, what about my cold? They didn't bring me chicken soup or whatever. Well, then you're doing it for the wrong motivation. Then maybe you need
Right.
to look and go, am I
That's a give to get, isn't it? That's a give to get.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Hey,
Exactly.
I thought if I promised I would take care of you, that you would give me this, but they were like, I didn't see the contract. Or you didn't tell me there was a contract about this. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I want to hear the Natalie Gold. I want to hear the advice, what whatever great advice you want to drop on us. I want to hear
The great thing, the Natalie Gold, like
it.
I have a playlist.
Uh-huh. Yep, the playlist. I want the playlist.
My thoughts for I'm looking for a Natalie Gold moment because I just like really be in the moment. But my thing to me, you got to be your own best friend. And if you can't, and people like they hear that they doesn't land with them. So here's what you do. I want you to imagine right now that I'm going to clone you. I have a cloning machine. I'm going to make your hair a little bit different color so I can tell a difference. Now you and I know she's your clone or he's your clone. They don't know. They don't know. And they're going to tell you all about the problems that they have and how they're not doing it right and how they're kind of scolding themselves and how they wish they were better. And you see all the shit that they do, excuse me. You see all the stuff that they do and all the suffering that they have. And you look at that and you're like, you want to just razz their head and you go, are you kidding? You're an amazing human being. Don't ever talk to yourself like that. You would never let a friend be hard on themselves. You would never let a friend be that hard on themselves. But you're doing it to yourself. You're saying all these terrible critical things, thinking that that has value when you would never let that happen land on your bestie. So I use the clone so that you can separate yourself for a minute. When I use that in my practice, people cry because they never saw themselves outside of themselves and saw that if they imagine those words that they hear saying that to them, they cry. They think that's awful, and then they realize what they're doing to themselves. That to
Wow,
me
that's
is the
powerful.
start of coming back to you, back to yourself.
Yeah. Wow. That's so powerful. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
So, love is a big deal to me, right? So I lived this year figuring out the true meaning of love, blew my mind, rocked my world, changed my life. And now I'm trying to help the world
Yes.
understand what love really is. And so I often get asked, well, don't you have to love yourself first? Don't you have to love yourself first? Kind of what you're talking about, or, kind of goes along with what you're talking about. And absolutely, 100%. Yes, love yourself. Absolutely. Way easier to love other people if you love yourself
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, a lot of us have been taught that that's selfish, that there's a selfish.
Absolutely. Especially women. You
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah. So what do you say to that?
Yeah. I've actually had that reflection on me. I've had that I wish I could they're like, well, you're a lifetime number one. So you came in to be selfish. That's why you're selfish. And but what it is that this is like dimming your light when somebody needs you because they're in pain and you're going to be in pain too if you do that they're dimming their light because they're in pain, which is whatever, but now
Mhm.
you got to dim your light too and go over there. Now there's two people in dimmed light not helping, so but if you say no, I can't do that right now because I've got to take care of this, I've got to pay my bills or do whatever, and you like manage yourself. You're like, okay, now I can help you on these terms because I got to meet this. Now I can help you. And you got to check in, make sure that your oxygen mask is on so that you don't lose your light, because your light and your love is what elevates the planet. Even when
Mm.
you're sleeping, your beautiful smile when you go to sleep, listening to your little fun thing, your little vibration is uplifting humanity when you sleep. But you think that like nurses, almost every nurse, I'm talking to the nurses now. They know like they're the worst. They don't even they're not even on the list to take care of. They are just because they're in service. They're in service to, and they will not eat right. They will not even eat. They will cheese and crackers on the run. They will hurt themselves to be in service. And they just, they have a hard time. They have a hard time. And I like, oh, no, 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 no. Imagine having kids and you want your kids to do well. So you think, well, I'm going to spend all my efforting making all my energy on my kids. And so maybe you work a job, extra job so they can go to the best school. And you do all this, but you come home, you're tired, but at least you can give them to that school. Do you know when they leave the nest, all they're going to see is, I don't want to be like my mom. She was always tired and always depressed. They don't see that part that you did for that way. They look at you and they go, well, I know I don't want to do that. I know I don't want to be like that. So if you want your kids to know what it's like to be a beautiful or a powerful woman, then you got to be, when your kids will want you to take in there and do that, you say, let me check with me first. I got to check with me, make sure I'm taken care of. My mom was really good at this. I was like, hey, she was really good at this. She took really good care of herself. And I literally was like on the phone going, and she's like, figure it out. You can figure it out. And I'm like, what? And I became more of an adult. I took more personal responsibility because she's like, figure it out. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, I'm like stunned a little bit, but that's exactly what I needed. It's like tough love, but it's actually a highest version of love. And it's not something we're taught, and it's not something that we think is valuable, but putting your oxygen mask on and beaming yourself up so that you can uplift humanity. When there's wars over there, that's what you can uplift yourself. You are an example. Words don't really teach. You going after and telling your kids to be amazing and do that while you're tired. It's like, it doesn't really land. But if you're saying, man, you're kid, you can do everything, and they believe you because you're everything.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So good, so good. We're out of time, and I can't believe it. And this hour just flew by more than any other hour of my entire life has flown by, I think. Natalie, we need to do a part 2. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your Natalie Gold, because it's all over the place, sprinkled all over. I love it.
Thank you for holding the love space, Kim.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Natalie, how do you want people to reach out to you?
They can go to quantumhealingsynergy.com. That's the best way. Quantumhealingsynergy.com. That's my website, and they can find all different ways to connect with me. And there's a masterclass coming up if they want to register for my masterclass. That's going to be September 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. 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 All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Yes.
I so appreciate you. I appreciate everything about you. And thank you everybody else for joining us today. And I just hope you got as much out of today as I did, and pass it along. Share this episode with other people. Get a hold of Natalie. She's absolutely amazing in every possible way. And I just pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.
Oh, thanks, Kim. That's awesome.